All right, welcome to another Hickory Hacker course vlog. This week I'm in Washington, D.C. playing East Potomac golf links on the Blue Course. When it opened in 1920, the Blue Course was considered the finest municipal golf course in the U.S. and really raised the bar for what muni golf could be in this country. The first 9 holes were designed by Walter Travis in 1920, and it was so busy that it was quickly expanded to 18 holes in 1923, with both sets of 9 designed to be reversible. Heavy traffic and deferred maintenance took their toll on East Potomac over the years, but now a new caretaker, the nonprofit National Links Trust, is investing heavily into the course, which is now known as the East Potomac Golf Links, and it's in the process of being revitalized and once again being a model for muni golf in the United States. So now let's take a look at what's in the bag, sponsored by Stewart and Jacoby. I'm using my primary Hickory set for this round, which include 2 replica woods from Louisville Golf, 5 authentic irons, and my trusty Tom Stewart RTJ putter. And for the ball, I'm using a custom Wilson staff zip with an antique mesh pattern. So here's a scorecard for the front. I was playing the white tees, which were probably a little too long for me, about 6,100 yards. I should have played the golds. The course starts with a par 4, 343 yards. Not a bad start there. I don't know if I've mentioned it in previous videos, but I don't practice with these clubs on a range. So when you're watching these course vlogs, you're watching me learn how to hit these clubs. And in the beginning of a round, there's a lot of trial and error, as you see here. These clubs have a personality all their own, and it takes a little bit of time for me to get used to what they're doing on a particular day, or more specifically, what my swing is doing or not doing. And so the first holes are usually kind of frustrating for me, but I also recognize that because I'm not practicing, I got to cut myself some slack. I've mentioned, I think, in the past that range balls and hickory shafts don't get along, so I don't use these on a range. So really what you're watching in these course vlogs is me learning how to play with these clubs, and it's a long process, but it's kind of the way I've chosen to go about playing the game. And just figured I'd give that a little bit of an explanation. So move on to number 2, par 4, 377 yards. This was a pretty cool hole, and I started it off pretty well with a decent drive. Feeling pretty good about how the brassie's working for me so far. And that put me off the left side of the fairway just a little bit. So I'm using the mashie here to extricate this ball out of the rough, and those bunkers that are in front of me there were deceptive. I thought that the green was just on the other side of those, and thought that I had given this enough to get up on the green, and was surprised to see that I still had some ways to go. But you see how large that green is. A lot of room to work with. I still ended up finding the back of it. Pin was deep in the back part of that green, so even though I went over the back, it wasn't too bad. And I'm using my putter here to get back up onto the green. And there in the background is the first look at my favorite feature of this golf course, which is the Washington Monument. The monument pops up on the front 9 and back 9 on several holes, and often you use it as a target line. Just a really cool feature of this course. Moving on to number 3, par 5, 564 yards. This is where I felt the length from the white tees. And before we teed off, a couple helicopters decided to fly by pretty close. This is also a regular occurrence here at East Potomac. So a lot of interesting things going on here that you're not going to find in another golf course. I was getting a little too cocky, I think, with the brassie and put a little too much on that one, so I ended up pushing that into the trees. Branches knocked it down, so I didn't get much distance at all, and that obviously makes a par 5 tougher. Here I was using the Louisville Golf Jack White spoon, and the rough was probably just a little too thick for that shot. Fortunately, I didn't hit my playing partners there. So I'm using Tom Stewart 2-iron just to get it back into the fairway. So some folks would probably look at this fairway and think that this is not very good condition, but from what I understand, this is way better than it used to be. The aerial shots that I'm using at the beginning of each hole kind of show what it used to look like not that long ago. National Links Trust has been taking care of the course for about a year now, under lease from the National Park Service, And you can see there's a lot of people working on the course here while we were playing. They're working hard to get this thing back into shape, and the greens were running really good, but they still probably need to find some ways to make the fairway grass consistent. Generally, though, I was really satisfied with how it played. So number 4 is a par 3, 154 yards. I'm using the mashie off the tee here, and that's probably not enough club. I saw that bunker on the left side and kind of worried I might hit it into it, and that's exactly what I did. Been watching the course vlogs, you know I'm a work in progress when it comes to getting out of sand. Here I'm using Tom Stewart mashie niblick. Try to use a flop shot technique there, and it just didn't work. Pretty much shanked that out of the sand, but at least I'm out of the sand. And with this situation here, I thought I had walked over there with my mashie, but it was my putter. So I'm obviously just kind of out of sorts here, running around with the camera and getting used to a new course and all that. It's, you know, I'm not trying to make excuses, but it's one of the reasons why it takes me a little while to settle into a round. Number 5 is a par 4, 286 yards, short par 4, drivable with modern clubs. Your vantage point off the tee here shows plenty of room to hit into. Obviously, you got a little bit of issue with that tree on the right. I didn't challenge that at all. I went off to the left, ended up pulling my tee shot, but fairly straight pull. So, got a good angle into the green here with an uphill lie. Got a nice clean shot out of the rough there too with the mashie. Yeah, not too bad a shape here on the back of the green. Here I tried using kind of a dead arm chip with the mashie niblick. I don't really like that technique, and in fact I don't think I've done it again since that shot. But I was able to get it up on the green and had a pretty good roll with the putter here. If you'd like to learn more about East Potomac and what National Links Trust has planned for it, check out the links that I've added to the description of this video. Andy Johnson at Friday Golf has written extensively about East Potomac and is always offering new information when it comes out. So number 6 is a par 5, 507 yards. You've got a tree line on the right side there, and then on the other side of that is a running path that goes along the length of the peninsula. So obviously you want to, avoid the right side, even though that's where I ended up going. It was a decent tee shot, but then I ended up putting myself in jail here a little bit, and I'm trying to use the Tom Stewart 2-iron to punch this ball underneath the branches, but ended up hitting it straight into the tree, and somehow, I don't know how it got through that. So now I'm just trying to play conservative here, and I'm using the mashie even though I'm out further than I would probably hit this. But my goal here is to just try to get it close to the green. Right distance. And still off the fairway here with this shot, but decent pitch toward the green. Ended up rolling up on that hill, but I was able to get it pretty close here. And then converted the putt. So number 7 is a short par 4, 297 yards. Requires an accurate tee shot though. Pretty skinny fairway up here. And I'm using the Jack White spoon with accuracy in mind, and just ended up pushing that way right. Kind of frustrating there because I thought I was doing the smart play using that club. But anyway, I'm off on the right side and I'm using the mashie now to try to get back into play. Able to get it over the tree, but I hit it into some trees up by the green. Fortunately got a friendly kick and the ball came out in front of the green here. So I'm using the mashie once again for this chip. Left myself a pretty difficult putt here. I knew it was downhill, but did not have a good read on what direction it was going. So hit that well past and offline. And didn't do that one much better either. All right, so from a short par 4, we go to a long par 3. Number 8's 196 yards. And again, Just trying to get this Jack White spoon figured out because this is the right club for this hole. But that's even further to the right. So now I'm really on tilt with this club. I didn't even try to hit that from that adjacent fairway because there's another group playing into the green. So took a drop in the middle of the fairway here. And by this point, I'm not worried about score anymore. I'm just trying to have a good time. So that was a pretty good runner with the mashie. Left me with this short putt. And not too bad of an effort there either. So heading back toward the clubhouse, number 9 is a par 4, 336 yards. Decided to put the Jack White spoon back in the bag and use the Walter Hagen Brassy once again, and it paid off.
I could only do that every time.
Got a little bit unlucky on the bounce to go up into the rough here, but it was sitting up okay. So using the mashie, and that actually came out better than I expected. So put that in the back of the green. The rough back there wasn't too bad though, and so I decided to use my putter, my Tom Stewart RTJ, and wouldn't you know it, I get a birdie to close out that pretty rough front 9. So we'll see if that can do me any good going into the back 9 here at East Potomac. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with the back 9, and in the meantime, check out another chip in that I had from last year at East Hartford Golf Course. And on the bottom right, you can watch my tips on buying Hickory clubs in antique stores. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.